everyone. So I'm here today with part 3 of my 10 cards 1 kit series of videos for the Hero Arts April Fiesta kit. So let's just jump right in and get started with card number 7. For card number 7, I'm using the Shake Your Bones add-on stamp and die set for the main focal images, but I'm also going to use some of the images from the main kit for the background. And if you notice, these two main images of the trumpeter and then of the lady dancing, they're very similar to the mice images in the main kit. So if you like this card and you don't have the add-on, you can just substitute in those images from the main kit and be able to make this card. Okay, so I'm showing a little bit of the copic coloring that I did for the lady's dress, and I used a variety of yellows on the main dress, and then for the trim on the dress I used some blue greens, and then I used the same reds for the flowers and the same greens for the leaves that I did on the mouse image that was shown in part 1. Okay, so now let's move on to making the background for the card, and to do that I'm using 2 floral images from the main kit, and I just stamped them randomly all over the back of the card panel, and then I emboss them with silver embossing powder, and I'm just heat setting that now. And now I just ordered some Faber Castell Polychromos pencils, and I thought this would be a fun card to kind of break them out and see what the pencils can do. So here I'm just showing you the swatches that I did for all of the colors that are in the set that I bought. They're basically three different layers of pencils that are in this set. And I'm just kind of showing you the pencils and then what their swatches are. And I'm just playing around now because I haven't used these pencils before and I want to see what they can do. And I thought it would be fun to experiment on black cardstock and see how they show up. So I'm just taking basically a variety of colors and rainbow colors, and I'm just playing around to see how I can get the best look on this dark cardstock. Sometimes I would fill in the flower with the main color I wanted to use first and then go over it with white, or with another color in the same kind of family of colors. Sometimes I would put the white down first and then go over it with whatever the main color was. And I found that all of those different techniques, they worked well, just depending on what effect you're going for. So I'm just showing a little bit of the playing around that I did, just so you can get a sense of how the different colors react to black cardstock. And if you haven't tried this yet, if you do have colored pencils at home, any kind of colored pencils, I would definitely I would try coloring on dark cardstock because it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting to see how the colors appear. And I found that the blue showed up really, really well. The peaches showed up really well. Some of the brighter reds did as well. Pink did not show up so well, as you can kind of see here. It fades a little bit into the background. And then orange and yellow showed up really well. So just, get out there and experiment and see what you can do with your pencils, and I think you'll have a great time. Here I'm just using some white, and some of the flowers I'm just going to color in using only white. And I thought that was an interesting look too. It actually would be fun to just have a card on black cardstock with all the images colored in white. There I just took a tissue and I wiped off the card when I was done, just to make sure that there was no pencil stuck on top of the silver embossing powder. Now it's time to put the card together, and I used a piece of chili pepper cardstock from Lawn Fawn for the little fringy background behind the rose panel. And I used a sentiment from the Shake Your Bones kit that says Shake Your Bones. And then we're going to add the 2 key images from that kit. And I'm going to add foam adhesive to the top of the image so that it's the same depth as the Shake Your Bones sentiment, which is also popped up on foam tape. But then on the bottom of the images, because they're going to be attached to the sentiment, I didn't put foam tape there. And then here I just put some gold pen over the horn so it looks gold, adding some sparkle to the dress. And of course, we have another Nouveau Drops Gone Wild situation with with this card. And I'm just going to add lots of Nuvo drops all over the place because, you know, I thought this was a fun card and it kind of screamed for excess. So that's what I went with here. And then the last thing we're going to do is just add some glossy accents to the little balls that are hanging off the man's hat, and then also to the roses on the lady's little rose headpiece. And that is going to do it for card number 7. So let's move on to card 8. For card 8, this is another card that I use one of the add-on stamps. I use the Cinco de Meow stamp, and I colored them in with Copic markers off screen. And now I'm just using the dies from the die set to cut out the images. And with the magic of editing, you don't have to sit through that process. Here we are. We have all our images all cut out and ready to be placed on the card. But first we're going to add a sentiment, another sentiment from the kit that says Happy Cinco de Mayo. And I'm just going to stamp it with Versamark ink and then gold embossing powder over that, and then heat set that. And now it's time to add some fun to the background. So for the background, I took out a bunch of my Hero Arts inks that I have from various kits over the past few months, as well as some inks that I just purchased on my own. And I used one of the stamps from the add-on kit that looks like little, I guess, confetti and candies being thrown in the air. And I just stamped them in a variety of the colors of the different Hero Arts ink that I have, just to make it look like there's a whole bunch of confetti in the background. And then there are also 2 musical note stamps that are in the add-on, and I just added them as well with black VersaFine ink throughout, just so that it looks like in the background it's a fun festive atmosphere with lots of confetti and music. And now we're going to add the main images to the card. And for that, I'm going to pop the 2 key images up on foam tape, and then all of the other images are going to appear behind them, so they're going to just be next to the card flat. So the little kitty on the left in the box, I'm going to have him holding a guitar, or I don't know what else that could be called. Maybe it's not exactly a guitar. And so he has a guitar in one hand, and then he's going to have a margarita in the other, because that's how we all should be on Saturdays, I think. And then the little kitty on the right with a sombrero hat, I put a balloon behind him and a cactus to his right. And now I'm just adding some sparkle to the different images. And then we're going to go over some of the images with glossy accents, including the margarita glass. One of my favorite things to use glossy accents for is when you have an image that is glass, because it really makes the image come to life when you put glossy accents over it. But again, we have, you know, because this is a card that screams for excess, I thought that we should put glossy accents everywhere. So we also added it to the balloon, to the guitar, to the rim of the hat, and to the maracas and the little flower that's on the cactus. And that's going to finish it off for card number 8. Now moving on to card number 9. Here I'm using another add-on. This is the decorative edge border that was an add-on to the kit. And here I am just drawing a line at the top of where each of the fringes are going to be placed, because I'm going to do some stamping on the card panel. And I'm using the flower pots that are in the main kit, and I'm going to stamp them with walnut ink by Lawn Fawn, but any dark brown ink would work here. And we're going to put the larger flower pots in the center, and then on the upper and lower right hand corners. Then the smaller flower pot I am stamping with dough ink by Lawn Fawn, which is a lighter mid-tone brown. And then we're going to fill in the remaining 4 spots with that. I'm coloring in the flower pots, the smaller ones, with a combination of E31, E34, and then a tiny, tiny bit of E35. And then for the larger flower pots, I'm going to use E15 and E19. E15 and E19, they're really nice brownish red colors. So One of my favorite things to use this color combination for is if you need to color a fox, this is a great color combination for that. For the soil in all of the pots, I'm just using a combination of E25 and E29. So basically I fill in the whole portion of the dirt with E25 and then just a thin line around the back with an E29 to give it, the appearance of depth within the flower pot. Now we're going to move on to the flowers, and we're going to use two different color schemes for the flowers. For the little flower that looks like a rose, I'm using E24 and then, not E24, R24 and then R39. And then for the more open flower, we're using R20, R22, and then R30 in the very center with a Y17 center. And then for the leaves on the rose, we're going to use G05 and G09. Now it's time to attach the fringe border to the card, and I'm just going to place that right underneath each of the flower pots. And I used cardstock from Lawn Fawn for the fringe. I think that's Mermaid and then Cream. And then we're going to put a piece of fringe over on top of the flower pots as well. Then I'm turning it over and I'm just going to cut off the edges so that the fringe is even with the main card panel and isn't hanging off. Now we're going to attach this card panel directly to the card base, and I'm just popping it up on a layer of foam tape. And then we are going to attach all of the flowers to the flower pots. And when I was originally going to do this, I was like, oh, maybe I could mask this. But then I thought that would take too much time, and it would be more fun to have the flowers appear as though they're dimensionally like sticking out of the pot. So that's why I just ended up cutting them out separately and then die cutting them and then added them to the card that way. And now to give them a little bit extra pop, we're going to put some glitter pen over them and then go over all of the flowers with glossy accents so that they really stand out. And then that is almost going to finish card one, but we need a banner. And for the banner, I took a piece of Ballet Slippers cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and then I just shaded it with different Copic markers in the R20s and R30s and R50 range, and then added one of the sentiments from the main stamp set that says Muchas Gracias, or many thanks. And then I'm just adding it to the center of the card. I'm being very careful here because the Glossy Accents is wet. And I'm just putting a little bit of sparkle on that banner to finish it off. And that is it for card number 9. Thanks so much for joining me today. I will be back soon with our grand finale video featuring card 10 as well as the story time video for this stamp set. This is the biggest story time I've done to date. It's 5 minutes long. 5 minutes just of story, not of card demonstrations. There are 2 acts in the story time, 4 voice actors, including 2 new actors that you haven't met yet, and I'm very excited to introduce you to. There will be at least 1 viewer cameo in this story time, so that means if you are a viewer of Tackleberry Lane videos and you've commented in the recent past, it could be you. So be sure to check it out and see what kind of role that you may have in this next video. Some of the things you'll see in this video are jelly beans wearing sombrero hats, a Starbucks, a treasure map, a contract, a wedding, and bird poop. So with that, I leave you for today, and I will be back shortly with our final video for this kit. Thanks a lot and have a great weekend, everyone.